Shlomo from Tur Lebanon, Shlomo from Mount Lebanon. Do we Lebanese have an identity? What is this identity and where is it? In our series of 20 episodes, we will discover together the different manifestations of our culture and specificities through art, history, literature, iconography, philology, liturgy, music, architecture, and theology. Our first episode today helps us understand who the Syriacs are, who we are, and to where we belong. This is the map of the region of the Levant and Middle East. The northern part was entirely Aramaic speaking, but the Syriac area is only the extreme north, highlighted here by a red line. This region is actually the Hellenized part. Ancient Semitic languages here were mixed with Greek, then they were Christianized, causing even more Greek vocabulary to enrich the local tongue. Because the new Christian culture needed new terminology for its own theology, and this is what was provided by Greek. Since this region was called Provincia Syria by the Romans, local Christians adopted this name for their new language and their Christian identity. The following map shows the region with the modern borders. Inside the red area, we can see from left to right Lebanon, then going up towards Antioch, the spiritual capital of the Syriac churches, then to the east, Aleppo in modern Syria and Edessa in modern Turkey. Edessa was the capital of the Syriac language or Syriac culture. Now more to the east is Mardin and then Tur Abdin, both in modern Turkey. Tur Abdin is a mountain like Lebanon. Its name means the worshippers of God. And finally, to the extreme east, we go down to the Nineveh plain in modern Iraq. The western part of the red zone indicated here is Canaan, or land of the Canaanians or Phoenicians. The eastern part is Upper Mesopotamia. So, who are the inhabitants? There were actually three origins that made together today's Syriac people. The Canaanians, here in blue, the Arameans, here in red, and the Mesopotamians, here in green. The diagram shows that when they were Hellenized and Christianized, they became Syriacs. But it also shows us how they never lost their origins until nowadays. Hence, the Canaanians in blue became today's Maronites and Rum, the Maronites being the Catholic branch. The Arameans in red, as well as Mesopotamians, became today's Syriac Orthodox, with a Catholic branch known as the Syriac Catholics. And the Mesopotamians, here in green, became today's Assyrians, with a Catholic branch, the Chaldeans. Why did they split into so many churches? The Mesopotamians, also called Eastern Syriacs, separated from the Western Syriacs after the Council of Ephesus in 431. We can see them here in the lower part of the diagram. They became the Eastern Church that split later into Assyrians and Chaldeans, the Chaldeans being the Catholic part. Later in 451, the Council of Chalcedon caused a second split. In this council, Emperor Marcianus condemned monophysitism. Only next to this will to unify the church and its dogma, the emperor tried to introduce a cultural unification by imposing his Greek language. This led to a new split, causing the creation of three Western Syriac churches. The first group rejected Chalcedon entirely in dogma and culture. They will be called Monophysites, then Jacobites, and today Syriac Orthodox, from which come the Syriac Catholics. The second group accepted the Chalcedonian dogma and with the Greek liturgy and language. They were called Rum and later Greek Orthodox, from which come afterwards the Greek Catholics. The third group accepted the Chalcedonian dogma and the unity of the church, but insisted on preserving their Syriac liturgy, identity, and language. They will be called the Syriacs of Bet Morun, today's Maronites. Those Western Syriacs are the ones we are mainly interested in because our presentation aims to concentrate on Lebanon. And to visit Lebanon, what is more convenient than to go through the writings of the Orientalists, the Western travelers who described Lebanon, its people, its spirit, and its language. Let us start in the 17th century with Eugène Roger. Au Mont-Liban, où j'ai remarqué qu'il y a 3 villages tout proches des grands cèdres, où la langue vulgaire est le syriaque, laquelle ils ont en telle estime qu'ils ne veulent pas se servir de l'arabesque, quoiqu'ils la sachent fort bien. In Mount Lebanon, where I have noticed 3 villages close to the great cedars, where current spoken language is Syriac, which they deeply respect and esteem so much, they refuse to make use of Arabic, even though they are able to speak it. And still, again, in the 17th century, Jean de la Roque, in his biography of the Maronite scholar Faustus Neyron, he wrote, « Il était originaire de Ban, gros bourg du Mont-Liban, situé vis-à-vis de Canobine, et dont les habitants encore aujourd'hui parlent la langue syriaque. » He was originally from Ban, an important village of Mount Lebanon, facing Canobine, and which inhabitants still speak today the Syriac language. Now in the 19th century, Constantin François Chasseboeuf, known as Volney, said, « Ils célèbrent la messe en syriaque dont la plupart ne comprennent pas un mot. They celebrate Mass in Syriac, which most of them cannot understand a single word." And the analysis of this weird phenomena is given to us by Alphonse de Lamartine when he writes, Il y a dans tous les villages une église ou une chapelle dans laquelle les cérémonies du culte catholique sont célébrées dans la forme et dans la langue syriaque. À l'évangile, le prêtre se retourne vers les assistants et leur dit l'évangile du jour en arabe. Les religions qui durent plus que les races humaines conservent leur langue sacrée quand les peuples ont perdu les leurs. In every village, he says, there is a chapel where liturgy is celebrated in Syriac language. At the gospel, the priest turns to the people and reads the gospel in Arabic. Because, Lamartine says, and here is his interesting input in the analysis, he says, religions that last longer than human races maintain their sacred tongues while the people have lost theirs. There is no such beautiful description of the Syriac language now, culture and identity than the following one given by Ernest Renan in his Mission de Phénicie in 1861. Sous le nom de Syriaque et identifié avec le dialecte des populations du Liban, le Phénicien traversa le Moyen Âge. Under the name of Syriac and identified with the dialect of the populations of Lebanon, Phoenician crossed the Middle Ages. And in 1917, René Rustel-Hubert describes the languages used in Lebanon, saying, l'arabe, qui s'est peu à peu substitué au syriaque, celui-ci resté plus ou moins en usage jusqu'aux environs du XVIe siècle, ne subsiste plus que comme langue liturgique. Arabic has gradually replaced Syriac. Syriac was commonly used up till the 16th century, but only survives now as a liturgical language. The Dominican Jean-Maurice Fier takes us deep, deep into our mountains, valleys, and caves, searching for the spiritual and historical identity. L'histoire n'a gardé le souvenir des grands couvents qui durent exister aux portes des villes de la côte, hellénisés, puis byzantinisé pendant les premiers siècles du christianisme, mais dès que l'on pénètre dans l'intérieur syriaque du pays, on trouve les rochers des collines percés de grottes et les chemins jalonnés de sanctuaires monastiques. History has only kept the memory of the great convents that must have existed near the coastal cities, Hellenized, then Byzantinized during the first centuries of Christianity. But as we penetrate inside the Syriac depth of the country, we find the rocks of the hills full of caves and monastic sanctuaries. From now on, each episode will take us on a journey to discover these valleys, these rocks, and these caves full of artistic and historical treasures to testify about the presence of Christianity and Syriac spirituality. Shlomo from Lebanon. Shlomo from Mount Lebanon.